Thanks for being with us for the news at 6. All new tonight, missed deadlines in the Travis County District Attorney's Office lead to the release of 2 murder suspects from jail on drastically reduced bonds.
One of those cases going viral on social media. And tonight, the KVUE defenders reveal the breakdown in the system that started it all. Senior reporter Tony Plahetsky is here with what he's learned. Tony?
And Brian and Quita, multiple Travis County district judges tell us that this is an ongoing issue in the felony criminal courts. Missed deadlines by prosecutors to secure indictments, which the judges say leave them with no legal choice but to release potentially dangerous defendants from jail. Austin police responding to a person shot in October 2022 inside a vacant apartment.
Officers responded to the scene and observed an obviously deceased male.
Investigators worked 18 months to arrest 32-year-old Juan Antonio Ramirez on a murder charge. A judge set his bail at $1 million. A few months later, he walked out after posting a $1 bond. It is the first of 2 cases in the past 10 weeks involving a murder suspect in which prosecutors did not indict a defendant before a 90-day deadline. That was also the case with 18-year-old Stephen Morrison, accused in an October 2024 murder. He was released on a $100 bond on February 14th, a decrease from $800,000. That decision stirred a response from Governor Greg Abbott over the weekend, posting on X, "Those responsible for this release should be held legally liable if anyone is harmed by this criminal." Joffrey Purrier is a former Travis County felony judge, a former prosecutor, and a current defense attorney in Austin and Lubbock.
As a prosecutor, that was always, kind of the stuff of nightmares, is that you would fail the calendar a 90-day deadline in a big case, in a murder or in an aggravated sexual assault, something like that.
Under Texas law, a defendant must be released either on personal bond or by reducing the amount of bail required if the state has not brought an indictment in 90 days. A 2021 opinion by the Court of Criminal Appeal said a judge must lower the bail to an amount that the record reflects the accused can make.
It was always something I was aware of as a prosecutor and something I would see infrequently as a judge.
The KVUE defender spoke to multiple felony judges about the issue. Several agree that they have seen an increase in the number of requests for jail release because defendants were not indicted in 90 days during DA Jose Garza's administration. Those stats are not officially tracked, however. Chantal Eldridge, the judge who signed the reduced bonds in both cases, said she believes that state lawmakers should change the law to give judges more flexibility in instances when they think a suspect is a community danger. She declined to comment further.
The basic duty of the district attorney's office to make sure that when cases are brought before them that they are timely investigated and prosecuted.
Pam Madeir, president of the nonprofit Central Texas Public Safety Commission, which supports first responders, says the public should be concerned.
Our men and women in law enforcement put their lives on the line every day to protect our families and our communities. And it is not too much to ask for the DA to be competent enough to keep up with their calendars and to prosecute murders. The victims of violent crime deserve that. Austin deserves that.
We reached out to Travis County District Attorney Jose Garza today and asked him about this point blank, but he would not comment on why his office failed to present the cases to a grand jury within 90 days.
That is not the way the system is supposed to work.
Travis County District Attorney Jose Garza facing continued backlash after missteps led to the release of 2 murder suspects and questions about how his office is prosecuting felony cases.
The only deadline that the state has is to indict a case before the statute of limitation runs.
Now he's doubling down on his interpretation of the law and how swiftly his office pursues indictments. It turns decades of legal opinion and prosecutor operations across Texas upside down and raises due process concerns for jail defendants.
Meanwhile, the KVUE defenders uncover more examples of defendants languishing in jail without being indicted. Senior reporter Tony Plahetsky has this KVUE defenders exclusive.
This North Austin transient camp was the scene of an alleged assault that led Carlos Garcia Suazo to the Travis County Jail. A woman told police he took her government benefits card and held a knife to her neck before he punched her in the eye and threw her to the ground. A judge set his bail at $12,000 on an aggravated robbery with a deadly weapon charge. But Suazo was released because prosecutors did not indict him until after 90 days, a nearly half-century-old prosecutorial benchmark. Garza says the case has a gaping hole.
Although we have attempted on multiple occasions to locate the victim in this case, we have been unable to.
That admission after Suazo spent almost 4 months in jail without an indictment.
It's alarming in a lot of different ways.
Angelica Cogliano just finished a term as president of the Austin Criminal Defense Lawyers Association.
It should be of concern to the defense bar if people are sitting in jail past 90 days without an indictment, because that's not appropriate.
And tonight, the KVUE defenders revealed the breakdown in the system that started it all.
The issue
Reporter
erupted
Tony
last
Polhetzky
month
is
after
here
the
with
KVUE
what
defenders
he's learned.
revealed Travis County prosecutors did not bring indictments against 2 murder suspects within 90 days, leading to their release. Under a 1977 provision in the state criminal code titled Release Because of Delay, a felony defendant must be released if they are not indicted in 90 days. The provision is intended to protect the rights of the accused and ensure a speedy trial.
This is one of the main internal deadlines within any prosecution's office.
Charlie Baird is a former district judge and former judge on the state's highest criminal court.
I am surprised that it would be interpreted in a way that it did not impose a deadline on the state.
We asked DA Garza about that.
You were saying that the state, the prosecution, has no legal obligation to bring an indictment within 90 days.
The only deadline that the state has is to indict a case before the statute of limitation runs.
I certainly disagree with that rationale or that reasoning.
DAs across Texas have frameworks built around that very 90-day provision. For example, the Williamson County DA's office policy states, absent extenuating circumstances, all cases should be indicted within 90 days of a defendant's arrest. Prosecutors should constantly monitor the status of unindicted cases and immediately report a missed deadline resulting in a release. We sat down with Garza twice in 2 weeks.
Do you know how many people are in jail right this minute today who have been there for more than 90 days who have not been indicted?
I do not.
The KVUE defenders obtained the answer from Travis County courts.
Records show that on the day we first broke the story about those 2 murder suspects, 26 defendants remained in jail without indictments within 90 days. Some of them were not eligible for release because they had ICE holds, they were wanted in other counties, or they hadn't shown up to previous court appearances.
Brahim El Hanawi has been in jail the longest, 226 days without an indictment for the charge DWI third or more. Garza says prosecutors were waiting for out-of-state records of previous arrests for 7 months. He pleaded guilty to a misdemeanor Friday and received credit for time served.
Somebody sitting in jail for 220-something days is clearly excessive and clearly an abuse of the system.
4 defendants have since been released because prosecutors rejected their cases after 115 days in jail or longer. They include Dustin Shaw, freed after 120 days on a drug possession charge. For the reason, defendant's time served. This acknowledgement from Garza after Shaw stayed locked up for almost 4 months.
So Dustin Shaw is also a case where we simply do not have the evidence in that case.
Records show in the 2 weeks since we began asking, prosecutors have brought indictments against 11 of the 26, including Jose Luis Ochoa, indicted on day 115 of sitting in jail on a family violence charge after he allegedly strangled his ex-girlfriend. Others remain in jail, unindicted, awaiting hearings.
The state needs to keep up and make sure they do their job in a timely manner, both to protect the community so that defendants don't get released like we're talking about in these kinds of cases, and to make sure that somebody who is innocent isn't just sitting and waiting for evidence to be brought against them, isn't just sitting and waiting for their day in court for no reason.
Garza says since the controversy in the murder cases, his office has directed prosecutors to attempt to indict cases within 90 days.
To the question of whether we have an obligation or a deadline of indicting these cases within 90 days, the answer is no, but it is still our expectation that in appropriate cases, our prosecutors are indicting these cases timely.
But Garza and his administration face growing concern from judges to defense attorneys to law enforcement.
Our officers here dedicate a lot of time, not only to the case, but to get justice for this victim.
Austin's new police chief, Lisa Davis, is in her 5th month on the job.
If there's work to do, we have to figure out what that is and what that looks like to get those indictments faster and to keep these violent people off the street.
Part of the issue of not indicting cases in 90 days is Garza's legal interpretation and approach. But defense attorneys point to another structural issue in his office. Until 2021, when Garza became the district attorney, the agency had an entire unit dedicated to making sure defendants are indicted in 90 days. Brian Anquita, the district attorney, disbanded that unit and assigned the indictment responsibilities to trial court prosecutors who are already balancing pretrial settings, hearings, and of course, trials themselves.
I think I screamed for help probably 4 or 5 times.
Tonight, a continuing KVUE Defenders investigation.
I didn't know anything about it until, probably officially until you called me.
Missed indictment deadlines by the Travis County District Attorney's Office.
It is a big number. It is a large number.
And a new spotlight on possible violations of the rights of some defendants in jail and putting potentially violent ones back on the street. Here's senior reporter Tony Flowhevsky.
I pulled into the drive-thru. I was the only one there and I was actively ordering.
25-year-old Emily Norris, behind the wheel of her car.
Somebody was walking up on this side of my car here.
Recounting the night a man randomly attacked her while ordering in the drive-thru at this North Austin Whataburger.
The kid jumped into my car. He pushed my face and came in first and landed on top of me here.
An attack that left her bruised and battered.
Definitely came out of it very shocked, like I couldn't believe that this just happened.
Investigators say they linked a cell phone the suspected attacker left behind to 21-year-old Jaderson Gabriel Paz, who they arrested a month later on a felony robbery charge with a $45,000 bond.
Knowing that he was, at least not out there being able to hurt somebody else was nice. It was a nice comfort.
Paz spent 99 days in the Travis County Correctional Complex, 9 days past a legal mandate for prosecutors to bring an indictment against a jailed defendant. His attorney cited that law in this motion to release him on a personal bond. Under the half-century-old Texas law, defendants must be released on a reduced bond if they aren't formally charged within 90 days. So Paz was released.
It's such an airtight case. You had everything right there in front of you. And for them to drop the ball like that by not formally indicting him is kind of the biggest issue I have. It was so easy and simple for them to move forward.
The Jaderson Paz case reveals just one dimension of the 90-day issue, potentially dangerous defendants getting out of jail because prosecutors failed to secure timely indictment. But our investigation also raises questions about other defendants languishing in jail months without any action on their cases. We found that some of them ultimately went nowhere.
But it was her father and his son.
In April 2024, police responded to this home after an altercation between a father and a 19-year-old son. Police arrested the teen for burglary of a habitation. On his 35th day in jail, he wrote the judge this letter saying he has no criminal history whatsoever and being locked up places me in the position to lose my job and unenroll me from the hygienist program due to my absence. Yet prosecutors made no decision until after the 19-year-old sat in jail for 112 days, 3.5 months. 13 days after his release, prosecutors dropped the case by his father's request, which is why we're not naming or showing him.
In the case of that particular client, the 90-plus days he spent in jail were very hard on him.
Austin attorney Claire Carter represented the 19-year-old. She says several roadblocks kept her from getting her client released before 90 days and before he was injured in a fight.
It is fair to say, it is accurate to say that he really did suffer.
This afternoon, DA Garza blamed what he called management challenges.
The KVUE defenders first revealed the 90-day lapses in February after the release of 2 murder suspects on drastically reduced bonds. We've spent the week since analyzing 263 felony cases from 2024 where defendants stayed in jail but were not indicted within 90 days. The very cases that DA Jose Garza told us his office reviewed back in February.
Are you saying you do believe or don't believe that there is a broader management issue with getting cases in front of a grand jury?
The majority of cases over the last 14 months are cases that were handled appropriately.
Those 263 cases involved 181 defendants released on personal recognizance bonds or bonds as low as $1 after prosecutors missed the deadline to indict them, and sometimes attorneys argued for their release. Of the cases, 70 involved defendants accused of violent crimes, including 5 murder suspects. 193 cases involve suspects accused of drug offenses, thefts, and other nonviolent crimes. Prosecutors have since obtained indictments in most of the cases, often after those defendants were released. But along with the 19-year-old, defendants in 70 other cases had their charges dropped after spending 90 days or longer in jail. A grand jury issued no indictment in 5 cases.
It's pretty astonishing, and it's a very bad name and bad look for our criminal justice system.
Criminal justice reform advocates, including Natasha Malik from the nonprofit Texas Appleseed, said those cases are most alarming.
It makes you wonder, what evidence did you have? It must have been weak, or you didn't have any at all.
Bradley Hargis is the executive director of the nonprofit Capital Area Private Defender Service, which provides attorneys to indigent defendants.
If the state isn't prepared to proceed, then the person should be out and wait to see if the state is going to be able to proceed at all.
While experts say the root of the problem is on prosecutors to act within 90 days.
The responsibility for this is very widespread.
They also say the duty is shared on all sides of the courtroom.
The prosecutor has a responsibility. The defense bar has a responsibility. The responsibility is also on judges, it's on sheriffs, and at the end of the day, it's on the county to make sure that they're not illegally detaining people.
After waiting 15 months, Emily Norris says she received her first phone call ever from an assistant district attorney, 4 days after the KVUE defenders asked Garza's office about her case.
We are going to be moving forward with presenting your case to a grand jury next week.
Finally, action. Paz has now been indicted for assault with bodily injury, but Emily says the delay to prosecute has shaken her confidence in the justice system.
It was a really simple case for them, and I don't know how it fell apart like that.
DA Garza would not go on camera, but blamed what happened in Emily Norris's case on a former prosecutor. A spokesperson for Garza said suspects released because of missed deadlines represent a small percentage of the jail population and cases received by the DA's office. We provided Garza the results of our investigation, but he did not respond as to whether he still believes his office handled the 263 cases appropriately.
When prosecutors fail to indict within 90 days, it is a way for individuals to be turned over to immigration and deported and escape responsibility for crimes they may have committed.
Tonight, a continuing KVUE defenders investigation and a newly uncovered consequence to missed indictment deadlines by the Travis County District Attorney's Office, one that leads to the deportation instead of prosecution of people charged with sometimes heinous and violent crimes. Advocates say those cases deprive justice to some of the most vulnerable victims. Now, we do want to warn you that this story contains reporting about child sexual abuse. Here's senior reporter Tony Kohetsky.
Quita, we recently revealed that Travis County DA Jose Garza's administration failed to indict suspects within a state-mandated 90-day window 263 times last year, allowing potentially dangerous criminals to be released and others languishing behind bars. A deeper examination adds yet another dimension to the issue and confronts polarizing topics at the center of today's political discourse: immigration and deportation.
Inside this Austin police interview room last fall, veteran child abuse detective Daryl Lambert recorded a suspected child predator's chilling admission.
His was one of the more detailed confessions that I recall taking.
Court records show Mario Mata, a 54-year-old construction worker and Mexican national, told investigators that he sexually assaulted a girl numerous times when she was 6 and 7 years old. The police interview came after the girl made an outcry to her mother last summer.
During the course of that interview, he acknowledged that he had had numerous sexual contact, incidents of sexual contact with the victim.
Police arrested Mata the same day for continuous sexual assault of a child. But 90 days passed without prosecutors obtaining an indictment against him. A judge ruled that lapse entitled Mata to a reduced bond, by law, which his attorney requested, citing the DA's missed deadline. It triggered Mata's release from Travis County custody and into the custody of the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement on January 31st. ICE detained Mata until deporting him March 7th.
Anytime a non-citizen is arrested, it is much more important for prosecutors to indict within 90 days.
Jorge Vela is a former state and federal prosecutor who now works as a defense attorney representing immigrants.
There is an interest for prosecutors to follow the law, indict within 90 days in order to hold that individual accountable. Otherwise, if that individual is released to ICE custody, they will eventually be deported, which could result in a complaining witness or an alleged victim not receiving the justice that they feel that they deserve.
In May, the KVUE defenders showed how we recently analyzed 263 cases from 2024 in which defendants stayed in jail but were not indicted within 90 days. The very cases DA Garza told us back in February his office reviewed.
The majority of cases over the last 14 months are cases that were handled appropriately.
Those 263 cases involved 181 felony suspects released on personal recognizance bonds or bonds reduced as low as $1. We investigated further and uncovered 5 cases of defendants not indicted within 90 days, released from Travis County and then detained by ICE. Mata is one of 2 charged with sexually assaulting children. The other is 54-year-old Jorge Rodriguez Hernandez. Records show he sexually abused an 11-year-old girl. Police arrested Hernandez in October, but prosecutors did not obtain an indictment until after he had been in jail 101 days, 11 days too late. ICE deported him to Mexico in late January. The deportations come amid an unfolding national immigration controversy under enhanced enforcement by the Trump administration. USA Today recently reported that prosecutors nationally are frustrated that ICE has begun deporting defendants charged with violent crimes before they can pursue cases against them. But DA Garza's office simply didn't secure indictments in time.
When a prosecutor fails to indict within 90 days, that's simply them dropping the ball.
In the case of Mario Mata, prosecutors did obtain a 13-count indictment against him on the 91st day. 5 weeks after his release from Travis County, prosecutors filed this court motion stating that there is a risk the defendant may face deportation from the United States, frustrating the state's ability to ensure that the defendant is present to stand trial. But Mata was deported 2 days later. Experts say the deportation of Mata and Hernandez leave their alleged victims with no resolution.
When they muster up the energy and the courage to come forward and nothing happens, that is just detrimental to their healing.
Rose Luna, CEO of the Texas Association Against Sexual Assault, says sexual assault survivors, especially young victims, face further trauma when their alleged abusers are not prosecuted.
It's important to feeling heard and believed and validated. Even if there's a legal technicality that makes things go south in this way, that a child doesn't understand that, the family doesn't understand that, they think we weren't believed, I guess it didn't happen, and that's dangerous for society.
In a statement, DA Garza said that prosecutors indicted Mata on the 91st day because the 90th day fell on a Sunday. But legal experts told us the law does not grant an extension for weekends. He did acknowledge that the office mishandled the case involving Hernandez.
Now what we're seeing is that the cases are being indicted a lot quicker than this administration previously did.
Reforms are underway after a KVUE defender's investigation.
After months of spotlighting breakdowns in the Travis County District Attorney's Office that stalled justice, left defendants languishing in jail, and turned violent ones back onto the streets, prosecutors are now bringing indictments for taking other action on felony cases within the required 90 days when suspects remain in jail.
Here's senior reporter Tony Blahetsky.
Mark and Quita, since February, our reporting has shown wide-ranging implications of missed indictment deadlines by the Travis County DA's office, injustices felt by crime victims, violated rights of the accused, the potential liability to Travis County, and the deportation instead of prosecution of defendants. And while DA Garza did not directly acknowledge the problem, we were told by his office that new policies were put in place to fix it.
It should be readily apparent to all of you that this is not just a one-off situation, that there are multiple cases that this continues to happen specifically in Travis County.
It started in February after the release of 2 murder suspects, after Travis County prosecutors failed to bring an indictment against them in a required 90-day period, outraging victims' families.
There's no way that you go through all of your schooling and all of your trainings to miss 90 days on an indictment of a vicious murder.
But quickly evolving into a firestorm that appeared to catch District Attorney Jose Garza off guard.
Do you know how many people are in jail right this minute today who have been there for more than 90 days who have not been indicted?
I do not.
But through an examination of court records, we did know. Over 7 months of investigation, the KVUE defenders produced a series of reports about missed deadlines by Travis County prosecutors. We told you about cases that sat idle for months, delaying justice to victims like Emily Norris.
It's such an airtight case. You had everything right there in front of you, and for them to drop the ball like that by not formally indicting him is kind of the biggest issue I have.
We brought you the results of an analysis of data that showed prosecutors missed indictment deadlines 263 times in 2024. The very cases DA Garza told us his office reviewed back in February.
Are you saying you do believe or don't believe that there is a broader management issue with getting cases in front of a grand jury?
The majority of cases over the last 14 months are cases that were handled appropriately.
But that's not what we found. The cases included that of Mario Mata, a man who confessed to child sexual assault but was deported because prosecutors missed the deadline to indict him.
When prosecutors fail to indict within 90 days, it is a way for individuals to be turned over to immigration and deported and escape responsibility for crimes they may have committed.
And we told you about calls from state officials, including Senator Sarah Eckhart, to address the issue.
That is a problem of practice in the district attorney's office, and that is of grave public safety concern.
The KVUE defenders continue to monitor the situation through a monthly review of court data. Now, the results of efforts to address the issue. In mid-February, when we first began examining the missed deadlines, 26 felony defendants with 63 cases were in jail for more than 90 days without being indicted. Within 2 weeks in early March, the number had dropped to 7 defendants with 11 cases. By the beginning of April, the number was down to 2 defendants with 1 case each. And at the beginning of May, there was only 1. And as of June 2nd and ever since, there have been no defendants kept in jail for 90 days or longer without an indictment.
We're not showing up to court 5, 6, 7, 8 times just to be told that a case is unindicted, where everybody's pretty frustrated about it.
Attorney Rick Flores is the president of the Austin Criminal Defense Lawyers Association.
There's certainly something different. You can tell that he's responded to the criticisms that have come down about this issue.
Lawmakers considered 2 bills in the regular legislative session that would have required prosecutors to report when a jailed person was released because of a missed deadline. Although the bills did not pass, the Texas Judicial Council has imposed a new rule that took effect September 1st. It requires judges to report when they modify a defendant's bond because prosecutors did not bring an indictment within 90 days.
DA Jose Garza stopped accepting our interview request during our investigation and would not go on camera for this story. But we have been told repeatedly that new policies were in place to stop the missed indictment deadlines. In a statement, his office said over the past 5 years, the Travis County District Attorney's Office has worked to ensure that our criminal justice system works for everyone. We are proud of our record and grateful to have the support of our community. For the KVUE Defenders, I'm Tony Plahetsky, KVUE News.